All right, everybody. Good morning and happy Thursday. We are officially into the second day of our 2021 Colorwork Knit Along. So if you haven't gotten yarn yet, don't fret. Our first virtual meetup is going to be next Thursday, February 18th. So because this is just a 1 and a bit month knit along, I thought that I would kind of make it a bit more guided and a bit more structured just to kind of keep that camaraderie feeling with the sweater knit alongs that we usually do, which span over multiple months. It just feels a little bit more camaraderie driven and people don't feel weird, rushing in to ask a question. Because this one is so short, I wanted to ensure that everybody actually feels like they've achieved something through this knit along. So I am going to be going through and talking about the different methods that you can use. So most of the hats either ask you to bind on loosely, cast on loosely, or use the German twisted cast on method. The three hats that we are doing are the Banff hat, the Ridgeline hat, and then the Fleet hat by Tin Can Knits. And I will include information to that in my post. I will link to the Colorwork Knit Along page. So I'm going to be showing you a few of my favorite cast-ons to cast on loosely. I prefer the German twisted first and foremost, and so I'm going to show you that one first specifically, and then I'll just talk about a few other ones and how to get that nice loose look that people are looking for on the brims of the hats so that it is nice and stretchy. So I am going to share my screen now. Alrighty, and we are back. So what I am going to do here is, first and foremost, I'm not going to cast on all of it for you, but I am going to just show you the first thing. So all of these cast-ons are going to be tail cast-ons. So what that means is you're going to want to make sure that your tail is long enough to account for the number of stitches. Mostly you're casting on anywhere from like 89 to 100, unless you're making the men's hats, which are a bit larger. I know for the Fleet that I started, the Fleet hat, I cast on 96 stitches. So not too much. It was definitely manageable. So first and foremost, with all of our tail cast-ons, you're going to want to make a slip knot. So to make a slip knot, I really enjoy looping it around my fingers, and then I'm going to twist it. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to bring the tail up through, grab that, and then you're going to grab onto both of your tails and you're going to just pull that and tension it well and good. And so the nice thing about a slip knot is it does move, so you can adjust it to the needle size that you are working with. I cast on, the pattern calls for size 6 to cast on for most of them. I cast on using a size 5 because it's what I had and the ribbing still looks fine. So we're good there. So the first one I'm going to show you is the German twisted cast on. It is my favorite method personally. So you're going to start with your slip knot and you're going to want to put that onto your needle. We're going to tighten that up. And whenever you're doing a tail cast on, you always want to ensure that your tail is going to be to the right of your needle and your working yarn, which is attached to my ball, is going to be to the left. So what we're going to do is we're going to make what I like to call a slingshot. We're going to go with our thumb and our pointer finger. We're going to go between these stitches. We're going to make an open V and we're going to come back and make it look like a slingshot, old school. For the German twisted cast on, your tail is going to be over your pointer finger. Your working yarn is going to be over your thumb. And what we're going to do is we're going to go under both of your thumb threads, down between. So we're going to go under, down between, and then it's going to make a little triangle there. And what we're going to do, see that space right under my needle? We're then going to grab our tail and we're going to pull it through. Sorry, if I go slow, it's harder. We're just going to pull it through that triangle. Going to release. We're going to reset. And we're going to go under both, between, make our little triangle, grab our tail and pull it through. And that is how we're just going to keep casting on the whole way until you get to your number of stitches. The more you do this, the easier it will become. A lot of people get nervous about it at first because they feel like it's not manageable, but I find that it actually in some ways can be easier with a nicer finish than the long tail cast on, because it's got that spring because of that extra wraparound. So once more, we've got our little slingshot. We're gonna go under both, down between, pull up that triangle, and then pull our yarn through that and tighten. So there is the German twisted cast on. For our next cast on, we're going to want to start with a slip knot. I'm going to be showing you the long tail cast on next. You pretty much learned that as your first one, but I will show you. Long tail cast on does have a tendency to be on the less flexible side is how I'm going to want to say it. So because it's on the less flexible side, a good trick to do is actually casting on over 2 needles to ensure that your bind off is loose, or your cast on is loose. I apologize, I misspoke there. So what that means is you're gonna, it's not as easy on circulars, obviously, because you're gonna need that space, but what you could do is you could cast onto like a straight needle and your circular, and then just pull the straight needle out as you go. So I'm going to show you on one, but there is that trick as well. All right. So what we're going to do is we always want our tail to the right of our work, our working yarn to the left. We're going to make that slingshot again, but instead of going under and grabbing it, what we're going to do is we're just going to grab our thumb. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our left thumb thread. We're going to grab the pointer finger and just bring it through the middle and tighten it. So this is a much less in depth. So what we're going to do is we're going to go under the left hand thread of the thumb, grab your pointer, bring it through. And that's your long tail. So it's not quite as stretchy, but it does still make a really beautiful finished cast on. Another one that I recommended for people to be able to cast on loosely is the E-wrap. The E-wrap is kind of a pain in the butt at times because it is so freeform, but it does make a nice stretchy border. All you're going to do is you're going to make your slip knot, and this one is not a tail cast on. You're going to be pulling from the working yarn for this. You're going to make a slingshot, you're going to loop your yarn over the thumb, and you're just going to grab that space where you had with the long tail, but instead of grabbing something else, you're just going to loop it around your needle. So this one people can have some gauge problems with, but it is definitely the fastest. And because it is just a basic loop, it's a lot stretchier. I noticed that the fleet hat is a 1-by-1 rib. If you would feel so inclined, you could also do a tubular cast on for that. All right. I hope that made sense. If anybody wants to see any of these more in depth, you can always email me and I am happy to record these for you. Thank you all for joining us, and I hope to see you all. I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you all for joining us, and I hope to see you February 18th for our virtual knit along gathering. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.